Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here is your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning and welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown, our weekly discussion about things going on in the Joplin area that impact us as people of the community and as people of faith. This morning, my guests are going to be Lori Hahn, who's the president of the Downtown Joplin Alliance, and Carolina Neal of Neal Group Construction, who's a member of the Downtown Joplin Alliance. We're going to be talking a little bit this morning about some of the initiatives of the Alliance at this point in time, some of the exciting things that have started to unfold in the last few weeks, as well as why it's important for us to gather as a community, places where we gather, what we can accomplish when we gather together in some of those places. So we're going to be right back for our discussion with the Downtown Joplin Alliance right after this Mercy Minute. Stick around and stay tuned. We got plenty to talk about this morning, so thanks for joining us.
Find out how a Mercy doctor can take care of you. At Mercy, your life is our life's work. Quality, safety, and an exceptional patient experience. Mercy is grateful to be recognized as one of the top 15 health systems in the United States. At Mercy, your life is our life's work.
Again, thank you for joining us this morning. Our guests this morning are Lori Hahn, who is the president of the Downtown Joplin Alliance, and Carolina Neal of Neal Construction Group, which is also a member of the Downtown Joplin Alliance. So, Lori, why don't you introduce yourself, say a little bit about yourself, how you came to Joplin, and what it is you do for the Alliance.
I've been in Joplin for a long time. I was actually born here and moved away and came back for school, so I've been here for a long time now. And my husband and I own property on Main Street and in Murfreesburg, so we're interested in historic preservation and kind of revitalizing some of the areas of downtown that need some love.
And some of our areas need some love, and there's lots of love already in some of them.
That's right.
Which is great. Carolina, you want to introduce yourself a little bit for our listeners?
Well, my name is Carolina Neal, and I'm part of Neal Group Construction. My husband and I moved here like 13 years ago, and we have been working in rehabilitation of all the historic properties in Main Street for the past 13 years.
So you guys have been in the news a lot lately. I've been seeing things on Facebook and all those kinds of good things about some of the newer initiatives that you got going in the area. So tell us a little bit about those.
Well, the newest thing we've got coming up is that we were donated a building by Empire Electric, and it's on 4th Street, just east of downtown. And our plan with that is to make it a four-season city market. So it's going to have a farmer's market, but it's going to have a lot of other stuff in there too, kind of permanent and temporary vendors of meats and cheeses and some artisans and makers and artists, and just kind of a conglomerate, similar to like what you might see in St. Louis at Soulard Market or the City Market in Kansas City or things like that.
Yeah. So in terms of this, so it'll be like, so farmers markets a lot of times, big weekends, mornings and things like that. So that's going to be part of it as well. But you mentioned there's going to be the permanent vendors in there. So how's that going to all work?
Well, we plan on building to, I don't know how quickly we'll be able to get there, but building to it being a year-round market. We'd love to have, restaurants or things like that in there, coffee vendors, things like that, where there would be draw at maybe all hours, all different days and things like that, where the space is being utilized, and we get a lot of people coming for an experience and coming for just interesting things to do and things to get. And there's definitely a trend right now for people to want to know where their food or their things are coming from. They want to know who's making it or who's, and even with like art and things, they want to know the artist. They want to know where it's coming from. So I think that's a good opportunity for that.
So it's again kind of like, this is what we're growing in our area. And that's what we want to draw people to, you know, is to, you know, buy and sell from their neighbors.
Right.
Yeah. So Carolina, you've been involved with this effort. What, you know, in terms of, you know, what do you see as, you know, as the future for that downtown area as well?
Well, downtown has changed a lot in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Downtown Alliance has been working a lot in creating a space for the community to gather and be together, enjoy time together. And one of the things that we do is the third Thursdays, and it's a tradition. You know, a few years ago, that was an idea that we developed and experienced about it, and now it's a tradition, and people are waiting for the third Thursdays to start.
Especially when the weather gets good.
When the
Everybody
weather
loves
is
it.
good,
Yeah.
and in the summer. So it's part of the Empire Market is going to be similar to that, a place to gather, a place to be as a community, to know each other, to talk to each other, to have a cup of coffee, a beer, nice wine, and try to build relationships. And that's what we a lot about.
Well, obviously, you know, that's a big key thing for me, because I mean, you know, as a minister, as somebody who does that, I mean, the relationships are key. It's one of the reasons why we're doing the show, is we want to break down those barriers between people that they might have, the relationships that they might be able to have to do that. So, I mean, I know we've been blessed in the area. You know, Carthage has a, you know, market, you know, and I've been over there, you know, on some of my mornings when I'm over in Carthage, you know, and see a little market around the square and some of those things. We know Webb City's got a farmer's market and those kinds of things. You know, and obviously, you know, we're not in competition with that, because each one of those communities is doing their homegrown kind of version of those same things. But what kind of a timeline do we see going on here with this, you know, as we're heading down the road? What can we expect soon or whatever?
Well, we are, the upstairs of the building actually has office spaces in it, and those are immediately available. We've already started leasing some of those out for you know, entrepreneurs who are just starting out. Maybe they've outgrown their back bedroom or the basement or whatever, and they need a space that's a little bit more professional. And we're doing that just to kind of develop people into an on-ramp for their business or whatever with it. Some of those we may kind of target towards artists and makers and things like that who might end up in the market in the future. We do plan on doing some market activities and events this summer. So you know, some of the issues are going to be a little bit slower coming as far as getting everything lined up and getting all the vendors lined up. So some of it will just be a matter of like what we have available. So the building is set up nicely where we can kind of scale into different sizes and stuff. So we may do smaller markets and, you know, maybe one a month or something this summer, and then you know. But I would say by next year we're planning on having a full docket with it.
Okay.
The building needs some adaptations and repairs as well. So. We need to start a capital campaign soon to get some money to get all the repairs that need to be done, and also the quote and the code that we need to put into the sprinkle system and all other kind of
for safety and all those
safety
things, sure.
issues that we need to address. So it will take a while to get all that there.
To get to 100%, it'll take us a little while.
Yeah.
We'd like to do a commercial kitchen, and because that gives us a lot of opportunity for restaurants or food trucks or things like that. So it's gonna build, but I think that's the way city markets are supposed to do. I think they kind of start out, you know, and you grow and it develops, and it feels more natural that way than just going in and being like, boom, here it is. So.
Well, I know that's one of the things that I love to do when I go to visit a different, you know, city, those kinds of things. I've got some friends in Columbus, Ohio, and they've got a great market that's like that, you know, where they've got, you know, the outside, of course, changes according to the season and what's going on with the farmer's market. So those vendors are on the outside ring of the building, but when you get on the inside are all of your, you know, little restaurants. You know, there's a, you know, Vietnamese soup restaurant, a pho restaurant, and then we have, you know, next to that is artisanal cheeses and all those kinds of things. Next, somebody's else got a seafood, you know, market right next to that, and you know, you walk around the inside, you know, great chocolates and those kinds of things. When I visit New York City, you know, love to do those same things. You know, just go around and find one of those spots where you got all those things. And I'd love. I mean, you know, I'm really looking forward to. having a venue like that in Joplin if we can, get it up and get it moving. So I think it's terrific to hear about that. So what's the interest been so far? I mean, if you talk to a lot of local artists, you got any stories about any of the local folks that they've been waiting for a venue like this, or?
We've had a lot of interest. It's actually been really exciting how many people we've had reaching out saying, "Oh, I'm so excited. When is it starting? When, how do I sign up?" And we're like, "Well, we're not quite sure yet. We're still working on some of those details." We do have a website launched. It's actually just linking back to our downtown Joplin website at this point.
So give us the title. So
well, it's JoplinEmpireMarket.com. It should just take you back to the downtownjoplin.com right now.
Facebook page as well.
Facebook is probably going to be your most news right now as far as things that are happening, and then we also have Instagram that we're posting pictures and stuff. So it's growing, but it's a process.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're getting into buzz, because I think that's wonderful that people are actually saying, "Tell me more, tell me more," and I already wish you were up and running because, like I say, I had the privilege to travel a few weeks ago, and one of my favorite places when I'm in New York City is to go and to drink wine, and they have cheese. You can basically just order as many cheeses as you want. You can order 5 different cheeses, and they always put something with the cheese to help bring out the flavor of the cheese and the wine that you're drinking. And and then you can order olives, you can order meats, you can do those things. And I'm happily content to sit there for the next 3 or 4 hours, just solving the veritable mysteries of life while sitting around being able to do some of those things. And to be able to do that here in Joplin with people I live and work with all the time is kind of an exciting venue for me. And I already know a lot of the artists and things like that, so I'm just kind of like, let's just see what all the creativity that can abound.
I think there is a lot of interest in Joplin for people to want to have a place to go and to have something to do, and that's kind of the thing is people are like, well, what is there to do in Joplin? And I think that if we do this right, and if it grows to what I think it can be, I think it'll have those layers of it being kind of that third space that they talk about, like the coffee shop or like something like that, where that, it's not work and it's not home, and where do you go to gather and socialize and stuff that that kind of expands your community.
Yeah, because that's sometimes the best solutions for some of the things that we sit around trying to think about how to do. They happen over that glass of wine. They happen over that cup of coffee. They happen over a light meal that you didn't even know you were going to have. But you're out doing those things, and you get the opportunity to start conversing about some of those things, and all of a sudden some of the conversation starts to bubble up around this, that, or the other thing, and you suddenly are off and running about how to solve something that you've been thinking about in a committee forever and weren't able to do. So how to get some of that done.
We have a lot of talent and a lot of creatives in Joplin too, both in the food industry, in the art industry, and crafters, and all different kinds of things. So I think it'll be really neat to see who comes up that we haven't seen before too, because we do have a great arts community, but I think there's a lot more out there too that and farmers and things like that that haven't had a good place to sell or haven't had the opportunity to, or so I think there's some good opportunities.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting when you stop and you think about it. That this is it's kind of a blank slate, and we get to kind of figure out where it's going to go, and it's kind of like the sky's the limit, if you will, in terms of some of that. In terms of the creativity. We've
got tons of space there. There's space for community gardens. There's space for outdoor events on the parking lot where we could have just an all outdoor, kind of thing. We could do events in the space itself. The inside of that space is very old marketplace kind of feel, with the painted bricks and some car siding and concrete floors, and very industrial, but it feels very market-like, and I think it could be a really neat space.
Well, let's talk about the venue just a little bit here in a minute or so, because I want to talk a little bit more about the venue, because I'm finding out more exciting things that I didn't know about, which sounds really great. But we've been here talking about the Downtown Joplin Alliance. Don't go away. We're going to be right back, so stick with us.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
Well, thank you again for joining us this morning for Faith in Our Hometown. Our guests this morning are Lori Hahn, who's the president of the Downtown Joplin Alliance, and Carolina Neal from the Neal Group Construction Company, who's a part of the Downtown Joplin Alliance. We've been talking about the new project for the Joplin Empire Market. So first of all, I mean, this was a building that had been sitting empty in the community, just kind of not doing anything, and Empire decided that they would take the gamble on giving it back to the community in some ways. So how'd that come about? How did all that work out?
Well, actually, they had reached out to us and had said, "Hey, I've got a building we want you to look at," and so we were like, "Okay." And our organization, we've been around for a long time as a nonprofit, but hadn't owned any property. And so we were like, well, maybe, it was a little bit outside of what we were thinking, but we went and saw the property, and if you know which property I'm talking about, it has the double garage doors on both sides, on the north and the south, a bunch of truck bays, because Empire had their line trucks in there. And so we walked in and we were like, oh wow, this is a farmer's market. That space was really evident that that's what it was supposed to be. But then the rest of the building, you're kind of like, well, what do we do with the rest of it? And then you start thinking and you start talking and you start kind of figuring it out and throwing experiences around. And we've traveled a lot to a lot of the different markets and stuff. And we're like, well, wouldn't it be cool if you could do a coffee shop and you could do this and you could do, you kind of start layering those different activities inside. And then the interior is much more weather friendly, so it would work for a four-season market.
You could do that for all year round.
Exactly.
And not just on Saturday mornings, but Monday through Friday as well.
Potentially, yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting. So you were talking a little bit earlier about some of the possible vendors, and you were talking a little bit about some of the kind of the feel of the building. So this is kind of like industrial that could be turned into kind of like just little groups and areas and divided by metal racks and doing all that kind of good stuff. Or are there actually a lot of rooms and things like that in there?
Basically, there's an outdoor space that's the truck bays, and then there's kind of three, we're calling them market halls right now inside, that could be used individually, they could be used together, that are semi-separated, some more than others. But if you've been to like Chelsea Market or something like that, it has that real industrial kind of feel, but you could subdivide it up more, or some of it could be left more open. And we're still kind of playing with the ideas of exactly how to set it up and getting some designs and stuff done on that. But.
Neat. So right now everybody's just dreaming big and trying to see what we can manage. And then how do you sustain that as you go along? Because that's, again, the other tricky part is, how do you sustain the dreaming? Because you can have all the dreams in the world, but then you just got to figure out how to pay for it and do all that stuff. So how does a group like Downtown Joplin Alliance, you've been a nonprofit up till now. You will be, but how does that work in terms of where do we go from here? How do you get it all fixed up and do all that stuff? So Carolyn, you mentioned a capital campaign earlier.
Yes, we are planning on finding some grants to develop the process, and also to start a capital campaign where we will receive donations and ask for donations of citizens around town and anybody else who wants to donate money to us as well. And we also are trying to lease a space in the second floor.
Okay, those are the offices that you were talking about upstairs.
And that lease space will kind of give us a little bit of a cushion, if you want to call it like that, to start developing the process.
Yeah, the way you got.
But not only money. We accept all kind of donations. Paragon Architecture is just donating the design, the conceptual design for the market. So that's something that we really appreciate and value because of their knowledge, and they can kind of put in a pretty visual
they can take our dreams and put them all together.
all this conversation
here's what we'd like you to envision.
Exactly.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes special kinds of people to do those kinds of things.
Yes.
To kind of bring that whole concept of all the different ideas. How do we bring it together and make it work?
Yeah,
which is kind of neat.
Many people walk in and they see an old building. Some people you can walk in and you can see. I walk in and I can see what it can be, but not everybody has that part, and so it's nice to be able to have some visuals that.
Yeah. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about this community aspect. So, why is that so important to a city? I've got my own ideas, but I want to hear it from you. Why is that so important to a city for us to establish a gathering space?
It gives us a sense of belonging. It gives us a place to be. If we're happy here in Joplin, then we give more to our fellow man in that area, and then we also care for the place we live. We take pride in it, and I think it makes us more balanced humans if we are, if we're happy with who we are, and if we're able to give back and to have the community.
Just gives us a little bit, I'm a firm believer, okay, and in my religious founder, Jesus, okay, who I think there was a reason why he wanted us to do stuff together, because I think he realized that it was easier for us to do things together than for us to just do things by ourselves, and I'm just a firm believer in that. So that idea of community is always appealing to me in terms of saying, we don't have to work on just religious stuff. We can just work on the community. We can work on getting to know each other. We can work down, on tearing down the barriers or the misunderstandings, or we can get together. And I love doing that when I'm sitting talking to an artist about whatever their conception was, and just hearing how somebody else sees something, or learn how to value that.
My husband and I own a property on the 800 block, actually, and some on 900 block now. And we've been here a long time, and we're like, you drive by that area and you're like, oh, somebody needs to do something about that. And we came to a point in our life where we're like, wait, I think that might be us. And it's one of those things where it's like, if it's up to somebody to do it, maybe you should go ahead and do it, because it's my community. The things I do make a difference in how it's going to be for my children. And so it's my responsibility.
I think it's really a reality that in Joplin we have been given a chance to, because we lost a third of the city, it was given us a chance to kind of regroup and start some things over again and redouble our efforts in certain things. And even while I know the downtown area was not affected by that, in the same direct way, it's been affected by it because the whole community was affected, and we're there.
But actually it gave us a lot of opportunities, because after the tornado we realized that we have a lot of inventory and buildings that we can reuse and readapt. And this is what we have been working on for 12, 13 years, and we can see the difference between what it was in the beginning and what it is right now. And like Lori said, we need to bloom wherever we are planted. I received that wise advice after the tornado, actually, and it has been my motto from that day on. It's just like, I'm here, I live here, this is my home, and I take care of my home. And take care of my home means working in reusing our buildings and our infrastructure that we already have, and kind of make those spaces for the community to grow, to bloom in different things. And this is the idea of the market, but also the whole organization. Yeah. We want to promote these kind of activities that will help us to bloom and be better human beings and be happier neighbors with each other, and just teach our kids, this is our community, this is our home, how you can take care of it, and how can we make it better for them too.
Well, the market's not just about downtown. In fact, I think it's much more about the rest of the community.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Because it's not even technically downtown. It's just outside of downtown. But I think it is a central enough location. There's plans in the works for the city for all the trails. Their trails plans and stuff. So a lot of it will connect. But it's not a downtown initiative. It's a Joplin initiative. It's for Joplin, and it's for the community as a whole.
And the larger area too.
Yeah.
I look at the ability to get stuff that some of our growers, our farmers are doing. I used to be the pastor in Lamar too. So it's like we had a lot of farmers and people up there. That they can bring those products in and be able to for us to get them. Knowing who grew them, having those relationships with those people, it makes a big difference. I think when when you live a little closer to the earth. That's one of the things I love about the summer and the little chance for the gardening I do. But when you grow your own herbs, there's something about using those. When I have people that bring me things out of their own gardens, it makes it a little bit more fun, to make sure that I'm not wasting any of that I'm making sure I'm using what they went to the trouble to grow, and those things are just all part of
that's
level life.
And that's a point too. There is a lot of different markets around, and what you can sell in one market, and you can go to another market and sell too as well. You can just not all the production will be sold in one place, so you have another place that you can go and sell your products as well. So it's not only about the profit you can make if you have different venues to sell your products, but also the connectivity that comes from. People from Web City coming to Joplin, people from Joplin going to Web City, and vice versa. It's just create connections and make everybody receive more of what we have.
And the part of the beauty of that is again, if you're a good businessman, along with being able to make the connections, then it all goes hand in hand, and everybody wins in so many different ways.
With them, there's an initiative for shopping small, kind of nationwide, and this is the ideal example of that, because for a farmer's market, like $62 62 cents out of every dollar stays in the community, and like 99 cents stays in the state. As opposed to with big box, it's totally reversed.
That's amazing. So there's lots of reasons why we want this to succeed, not just because you two are involved with it, but I think it's probably going to be a real blessing, for the community and all those who live here in terms of some of those things. So real quickly, again, if people want to hear about this, where will they go to find the information if they're going to look online?
Joplin Empire Market on Facebook would probably be the best right now.
Joplin Empire Market on Facebook.
And they can call to the office as well.
And they can call the office of the Downtown Joplin Alliance and also find out and hear those things. All right, so if anyone is interested, obviously, there's where you can go for your information. And we'll be right back after this Mercy Minute.
The different bariatric surgical options here at Mercy Joplin includes laparoscopic room-wide gastric bypass, laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy, and laparoscopic lap band placement. In addition, we also offer revisional laparoscopic surgeries for those patients that have had previous bariatric procedures but have had failures. The surgical procedure of choice will vary with different individuals, and so that's why our team will work with the patient on an individual basis to determine which procedure is the best fit for them. All three of the bariatric procedures that we offer here at Mercy Joplin have a long track record of proven safety and efficacy. The best procedure for the individual has to be a decision to be decided between the patient and the physician.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning for Faith in Our Hometown. Again, our guests this morning were folks from the Downtown Joplin Alliance, Lori Hahn, who is their president, and one of their members, Carolina Neal, from the Neal Group Construction Company. That we've been here talking about the great initiative of the Joplin Empire Market. Again, an opportunity to take an old building that was not being utilized at all and just kind of sitting there, and a chance to recycle and reuse it in a different way. The dream, of course, is to turn it into a Four Seasons market where the community gets a chance to gather, where the members of the community get a chance to share their ideas and their goods with one another. So the whole idea is it'll be a farmer's market on the outside when it's good, and on the inside in that space, offices to rent, and at the same time, space downstairs where creativity is the limit. Okay? So basically, we've got an opportunity for us to come together as a community in a space where we might be able to be a better way of living community with one another. Again, it's a great dream. It's going to take a lot of energy. You're going to be hearing more about it into the future. You're going to have opportunities to join in so many different ways. This is one of the ways that we as people of faith interact with one another. So thanks for joining us. This is Faith in Our Hometown.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.